Y'all, Jones Dairy Farm, located in Fort Atkinson, is a standout. They do premium meat manufacturing, making dry-aged bacon, naturally smoked hams and Canadian bacon, all-natural sausage, and a new no antibiotics ever chicken and pork meatballs. It's a 7th-generation family-owned and operated farm who's been making breakfast better since 1889. Learn more at jonesdairyfarm.com. That's jonesdairyfarm.com. Today on CityCast Madison. It's Spooktober, and we're going to talk about it. It's time for us to bring you our top tips for living your best life in Madison this month. From game day to ghost tours to how do you like them apples, aka the best places to go apple picking, we've got you covered. The team, Hayley, Sperling, Rob Thomas, and I have your guide to October. It's Tuesday, October 1st. I'm Bianca Martin, and here's what Madison's talking about. It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. It's October already, and we are here, Team CityCast Madison, to bring you your guide. I'm here with Hayley Sperling, our executive producer. Hey, Hayley.
Hey, Bianca. So excited to talk about fall, the best season.
Spooky season. And Rob Thomas, our newsletter editor.
Hey, Bianca. Happy October.
It is October. And honestly, this is my favorite season. So I like even probably said that back in summer and people like, shut up. But we're here to bring the guide for the best things. Basically a little guide about how to do October right. Who's kicking us off?
I think that we should talk about all of the fun sports going on in October first. Rob, you are our sports reporter these days.
I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I don't know if I could measure up. Don't ask me stats. That's all I want to say. But yeah, October is always a great month for sports in Madison and Wisconsin. And that's even before, looks like we'll be watching some Brewers postseason, which is awesome. But here in Madison, of course, we've got the Badgers, the football team. They've got a couple of games coming up. They've got Purdue this Saturday at home. And of course, the big one is homecoming week, which, the entire university and city rallies around for. They're playing October 26th against Penn State, and there'll be a parade the Friday before, and there'll be all kinds of alumni will be coming back to town. So win, lose, or draw, that's always a really fun time in Madison.
Yeah, we love homecoming. And the official UW homecoming dates this year are October 20th through the 26th. So it's going to be a big week, for everyone, not just football fans. Like you mentioned, there's a parade. There's a lot of events that are going on at the Union. They have painting, it seems like. There's the UW homecoming medallion hunt. I don't know if you guys have heard of that one.
What is that?
It's literally like a virtual thing, and it's to decipher these clues that they're going to drop on the Wisconsin homecoming Instagram, and you, quote, embark on a thrilling adventure across campus and discover hidden medallion each day. So sounds fun. Sounds like a little scavenger hunt situation for the campus, and sounds kind of also just like a really cute way to get to know what's going on at UW.
Cuties. Just cuties.
I love that.
We love you guys.
It's fun. Get involved. Get out there. But I mean, We're also we're watching our volleyball team, right?
Yeah. I mean, they're huge this year as they were last year, and they've got a run of home games, I think, starting this Sunday with University of Washington. And then these are all at the UW Fieldhouse, the October 11th against Maryland, October 13th against Northwestern, and then October 18th against Oregon, who I think are ranked. So, when they get that UW Fieldhouse packed, that is just a great time. And I remember going years ago and it was a much smaller crowd. So it's so great to see the university and the city really responding to them. So those are always a fun time, especially in the fall.
I am in the football spirit. I am. I'm also, I'm out here watching the Packers, and they kicked butt against Tennessee, and I'm still living off of that win. They sacked Tennessee's quarterback 8 times. So the season's great so far, and it's kind of a big shared football spirit. I'm looking forward to some Chili's and dips, hot dishes,
Maybe you should be our sports correspondent. 8 sacks in a game? Like, what is this?
I mean, sports ball. I mean, it's kind of like a religion if you're not a part of Packerdom. Maybe you care about social issues and CTE, but I came back. You
can do both. You can do both.
Good.
Yeah,
good.
It's one Sunday a week you could devote to Packer Nation, I think. Yeah. I mean, there's something about fall, I think, in watching sports that, like, you just, basketball will start going later on. It's just like you go inside, you get bundled up, you get your team sweatshirt on. It's just the greatest.
We've got the fever.
I love it. And I know we're talking about football, but I'm going back to volleyball. Like, UW is a volleyball school, these past couple of years, like, yes,
Queens.
we are the powerhouse. And yes, and those are some amazing, amazing athletes that are doing some big work out there. And they're drawing crowds, like you said, too.
We stand football.
And volleyball.
We have to stand. But I guess the one thing to watch out for, too, though, is the UW Homecoming Parade, which is happening October 25th. It's probably going to bring a lot of traffic. It's probably going to bring some street closures. So watch out for that. We'll probably know more, when the date gets a little bit closer. But if you're wondering why they're...
State Street?
Yeah, they go down State Street. So there's no cars
fun.
there anyway. But, like, if you're wondering why there's, like, hordes of people in red and white, it's homecoming. Yay.
It's homecoming. Yeah. I mean, there are a bunch of, like, suburbs where people can actually go to their homecoming if they grew up here or Madison and that sort of thing. But if you have those, you watch Friday Night Lights, if you want to relive those feelings, they're very accessible. The glory days. They're here. I love homecoming, the homecoming parade. Gets rowdy.
It's rowdy, but it's also pretty family friendly. I would say all the UW sanctioned events are very family friendly, which is very different than one notable Madison event that is actually not happening this year, to the shock, or, actually probably not pretty shocking to either of you. But I'm talking about Freakfest.
Yeah, I knew it was coming.
Well, our annual Halloween tradition is pretty much officially dead and buried in the ground. R.I.P.
So
Freakfest.
sad.
Yeah, so there's no Freakfest happening this year. I got confirmation from the city. I did my homework before coming on this show, and I got confirmation from the city. There is no Freakfest this year.
Did they give an official reason why they killed it? Because it seemed like they kind of got it under. I mean, we all remember how things were really rowdy,
right?
A few years ago. But it seemed like it kind of got it under control and made it more like a music festival. And so, what happened there?
Okay, just take a step back. The last Freakfest that we had was actually in 2019. And then the following 2 years, 2020 and 2021, were canceled because of COVID. Pretty much all of life was. 2022 show was also canceled, but not because of COVID. It was because Frank Productions, which had taken over as, like, the promoter of the event, decided that it was not going to sponsor Freakfest anymore, and so it pulled out. So basically, there was no money and there was no one to book bands. And the same thing happened in 2023, and it seems like the same thing is happening in 2024. And in 2023, they were basically just like, there's no money for this event, and people just really aren't interested, so we're just not going to do it. And that's kind of seems to be the vibe. It was like this
malarkey.
Okay.
There's interest.
Okay, Joe Biden. I think it's just like waning interest, and people are like doing other stuff. And so for anyone who's new about around town, or who would like a little bit of Madison lore, I've got some history of Freakfest if y'all are interested in hearing some of that.
Absolutely.
So Freakfest, as we know it, became an official city-sponsored event back in 2006. But before that, it was literally, like many things in Madison, just kind of a riot. That's what Madison likes to do. We like to party. We like to get wild. We like to just mess things up. And so, according to former Madison Mayor Dave Cheslevich, He wrote this in a 2022 column for Isthmus. He said, quote, "The annual celebration on State Street was more or less spontaneous, disorganized, and increasingly dangerous. Tens of thousands of people were showing up to show off their costumes, and while it was mostly good fun, the evenings would end with some bad behavior." So he's talking there where it was droves, and I mean like anywhere from 60,000 to 100,000 people just showing up on State Street and wilding out pretty much. And things changed a little bit when the drinking age got bumped up in Wisconsin in the 80s. And so like, you know, you couldn't just sell alcohol to an 18-year-old anymore. And so things kind of quieted down between 1989 through the 90s. The celebration sort of like waxed and waned, with some years drawing big crowds and some years not. But it was really 2002 to 2005. Those were like the rough years. Those were the years that like things got wild, that police pulled out pepper spray, that riots were genuinely happening. And those were the years, like I said, that it was almost like 100,000 people showed up in 2005. And those events ended in vandalism, riots, tear gas, hundreds of arrests. And mind you, most of these arrests are for out-of-towners, right? Like it's not necessarily the Madisonians who are getting wild. It's your cousin who came in from Janesville.
The city swells.
Yeah. Oh, yes, literally. And so in 2006, the city decided to kind of take charge of Freakfest and basically changed everything. They decided to shut down the street. They installed barricades. And that's when they started bringing like live performances onto the scene. So they brought new music and made it an actual ticketed event. And with that, crowds kind of started to slowly decline following 2006. Like I said, it was a ticketed event after all. But after that, in 2007, Frank Productions, who we mentioned earlier, now part of Live Nation, who we don't need to talk about, stepped in 2007 to book bands. And they had some big names, like low-key. I mean, I was a student at UW in the 2010s, I guess is what we're calling it. And they had bands like All Time Low, Neon Trees, The Ready Set, Anderson .Paak was there, Trapo, Kip Moore, and everyone's favorite, Time Flies. And so
don't know who that is.
They were just kind of like always at Freakfest. They were just like, I don't
Sorry,
know if you remember
Flies.
this, Rob. They were big in like maybe 2013 to 2015 situation, but I don't know. They were just around.
They were to Freakfest what Non-Point is to Taste of Madison, where they're just always there every year.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, they were just kind of always there. And
Everyone's
it was
favorite.
like, it was like, who's here? Time flies. And so like, it was still a big celebration, right? Like there were still tens of thousands of people that were coming to see the shows because again, like Frank Productions was kind of killing it with the bookings, right? These are some big names. And then, of course, like I mentioned at the top, 2019 was our last Freakfest, and then everything just kind of went downhill from there. And now we say RIP to Freakfest 2006 to 2019. May she rest in peace.
I'd love to share the story of my first Freakfest.
Please, I want to hear.
Which is me as an undergraduate freshman at UW Madison. And it was seriously like, not just listening to you, Ty and Rob, you're probably feeling this way too. I want to hear what you're feeling. But it's like bringing everything back. But it was wild. And it was this is 2010. Anywho, in my friend group, we were all just like running around riotous. Like it was so full of life. You see so many different costumes and people are like out, like the city is taken over by the monsters and everyone dressed up, which is fun. And the dangerous part is like, yes, there are police everywhere too, for good reason. And my two memories that just hit me is one of the girlfriends of someone in the group, someone knocked her tooth out. So there was a moment spending over by the old American Apparel area, just like looking for her tooth. So that was one thing. We had a different friend, Ashley. I'm sorry to laugh. She got punched in the face by a random stranger.
What?
I'm sorry. It's not funny, but it was hilarious.
That's not fun.
It's not fun.
But it's kind of funny.
No,
like
it's
10 years later, it's kind of funny.
It's not fun. 10 years later.
Right.
No, but it was just the funny part. It's not fun. But the funny part about it is it was completely random. Like they were mad at her. And it's just like, that is exemplary of the chaos that happened on State Street. Like it was, and with all of the drinking culture. It was, I can see why also maybe the city is like, maybe we don't do this anymore because it is such a liability.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I seem to remember, I mean, I was working at the Cap Times during those 2000 to 2005 years where it got really bad. Like there were a lot of store windows smashed.
Yeah.
I mean, it was nasty. But I seem to remember like earlier in the evening, it wasn't so bad. You might see families down there. And then it did kind of turn, you know, then I guess the alcohol kicked in or something like that. It became a whole other scene. I mean, it's too bad because the one thing I always loved was people were so creative with their costumes. You get like all those college students, they get so many inventive costumes. And I feel like I still would love to see a way, I mean, I guess Instagram now or something, but a way to just sort of really see people go all out with costumes and have some really cool stuff.
It's kind of like our New Orleans Mardi Gras. Like it really was that creative.
Yeah, people would really go all out, and people like kind of just turned Madison into this Halloween town. And so again, as much as we kind of dump on the out of towners, like they did also really help make this event into what it is and turn Madison into a destination for Halloween. So, you know, my questions are, is like, where is your Whitewater cousin going to go for Halloween now? I don't know.
It's a shame.
Whitewater sounds like, we love Whitewater's great. But the way you said that made it sound like backwater.
No,
Where's your backwater cousin? No,
not
that's
backwater,
not
just Whitewater.
I feel like there's a specific cousin in mind here, Hayley. I don't know. But.
It's just like all of like my freshman year roommate. They were very strict in the dorms. So if you're listening in the dorms, they were very strict about like you could not have guests stay over that weekend. They were like, this is not allowed. And of course, my roommate wanted to have guests stay over that weekend. I'm not trying to out her like 10 years later, but kind of a little bit. So and all of her friends went to school in Whitewater, which is why I bring it up.
Well, I'm really curious if people have really good Freakfest stories. Would you guys send them in to us, please?
Yes,
like, leave us a voicemail at 608-318-3367. Or you can email if you don't want your voice shared, Madison@citycast.fm. But like, did you have a crazy costume? Like, I'm just having so much fun telling my story. I know there's so many more out there.
There are so many more out there. Because yeah, I'm just thinking of all the photos that I've seen online of people doing some wild stuff for Freakfest.
Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
There are other fun and spooky events and places that people can go to get into the Halloween spirit. I mean, Bianca, you've got a whole list of places that are haunted in Madison, right? Get us in the October spirit.
Yes. I actually ran into a guest that we had on the podcast last week, and she is quite notable and visible. She's got like wild red hair, and she's quite the character. Lisa Van Buskirk of Madison Ghost Walks. So Madison, unsurprisingly, just like any great place, has tons of old haunted buildings. And we talked with her last year. We'll have to throw that conversation in our show notes so you can go back and listen. But yeah, I ran into her at a birthday party, and it brought back all the memories of the really great storytelling that she does. So, I mean, if you are interested in ghost tours, that's something that's accessible to you. A couple of the spots that I know that they hit on the tour is like Orpheum Theater. If you've been there, you know, it was so sad when it closed for a second, but it's back running, you guys, for a while here on State Street. You know, it opened its doors in 1927, and the lore is there's a famous resident, Pete the Projectionist, who the legend is committed suicide in the projection booth, and that he still lingers around the theater. So Pete plays tricks on people and taunts people. So there's that. Also, some tours around the Wisconsin State Capitol. Unshocking there. People got demons and spirits all up in that building.
I think there are still some demons in the Wisconsin State Capitol. I'm not saying on which side of the aisle, but they're in there.
I know you're not alone. But Actually, I remember her recommending that you should consider signing up for the Capitol free tour and take the secret elevator up to the top floor. You can find a spiral staircase where you can access a balcony and maybe meet Frank the Tank. Sorry, that's the wrong Frank. Frank Smith, who's the ghost.
I was going to say, we're back to sports.
I'm sorry, I just love Frank the Tank. But Frank Smith, the ghost, was believed to be one of the steel workers who helped build the Wisconsin state capitol. And that legend is that he fell into the middle of the rotunda while he was trying to place the flag on top of the capitol. And so he's supposed to be around there. And then, there's more stuff, on campus. Science Hall is a 130-year-old building, that gorgeous red brick beauty, my favorite building in Madison. So there's lots of ghost tours and stories for sure. And I frankly haven't taken one of the tours yet, and I kind of want to.
Group field trip. Rob, do you like scary things? Do you like horror movies?
I'm not that big into horror movies. It's like if I like it, then I love it.
Yeah.
And especially older ones. So, and I just like the stories. I mean, I don't need to think Frank's tapping me on the shoulder to enjoy the stories and the myths around all these great old buildings in town for sure. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you like the stories because October is also great for another format of stories. Well, I guess there are probably ghost stories included. It is the culmination of the Wisconsin Book Festival. The 23rd annual fall celebration will be held in October, Thursday, October 17th through Sunday, October 20th. So if you are like Rob, like me, like Hayley, you love stories, we're professional storytellers over here. The book festival is packed with quality and frankly packed to the gills those days with events. There are 3 pages worth. So I'm not going to try and do too much of an overview here because we are actually going to talk to Jane Rotunda, the director of the Wisconsin Book Fest, on this program for a preview soon. But yeah, the Book Fest, it's presented by Madison Public Library in partnership with the Madison Public Library Foundation. And you might have noticed this, or maybe you attended some events, but they have standalones all year, but fall is their culmination. If you heard us talking on our Must See Madison conversation about best places to read and write, we spoke with Thea DeWall, who is a judge for this year's We Read competition, which is a local youth writing contest. They're going to be honored. Also at the Book Fest, Wisconsin People and Ideas 2024 Fiction and Poetry Contest winner. So, our local creatives and writers, this is a moment for them to be highlighted, and you can kind of learn about some of that stuff. And there's just a mix of different in-person and virtual events. And the best part, it's all free. It's all free.
And it's all over, right? There's events happening at a bunch of different library locations and other locations. So guaranteed there's probably something happening near you. And yeah, shout out to Jane, who's coming on the pod soon. And she'll give you the little lowdown of all of the fun events that you should definitely check out. And I'm excited. It's going to be a good one. And I don't know, reading, it just puts me in that kind of cozy mood. And I'm thinking about apple cider and maybe some pumpkin patches and other sort of, really fall coated items. Rob, I'm curious because you are the resident parent now in this group. Do you have a favorite?
You're the dad. Dad of our podcast.
outing Rob as a father. Do you have
He's
a
been
favorite?
Outed.
That's right.
A favorite apple orchard in town?
Well, I remember, we used to, my kids are teenagers now, so if they go without me. They leave me at home. But
too cool for
we used
dad.
to go to, right. It's not cool to drag me along, but I remember, is it pronounced Eusters? Eugster. It's near Stoughton, but they had a great pumpkin patch. The thing is about these farms is they become sort of autumn theme parks where you've got hay rides and a corn maze, pumpkin patch, apple patch. You get, cider to take home. And it's really, especially with little kids, it's great because they get to run around. You can take a picture on the tractor. It's a great time. So I love that one. And I think it was called Trinan Farm near Lodi.
Yeah.
I think they have the best corn maze. They have a huge corn maze. And I know corn mazes they give my wife some anxiety, I think, especially when you're deep in there. But usually they'll give you plenty of outs and stuff. And those are always super fun. So,
and they're award-winning, their designs at Trinan Farm. We talked to the woman.
I mean, they're art.
It's art. Yeah.
Yeah, they're incredible.
Yeah, it's literally so cool. Yeah, no, Bianca, I mean, you were out and about and you were talking to them last year about all of their cool award-winning designs, and they've done some really cool stuff. I mean, I actually have an article that I wrote for Madison Minutes a while ago that we can throw a link to the show notes in as well, but like they've got rainbows, kittens, and killer baby unicorns. That was their 2016 theme. All the Good Dogs was their 2023 corn maze theme. They did a Schrodinger's cat and other thought experiments for 2021. Like they are really going all out, and that is why they are award winning. I really love it. So yeah, there's a lot of cool corn mazes, and it really is just like more than corn. But Rob, I like the way that you put it, is that it's all a fall theme park. It's a fall amusement park. And
like
last year
one-stop
too,
shopping for
for everything. And last
Time
year
for the
too,
family photo.
yes, everyone, maybe we should do a CityCast
On our
Madison
hay
photo
bales.
where we all like jump into a pile of hay or something. But yeah, I remember last year too, we had our dear friend Lindsay Christians on the pod to talk about some of her favorite apple orchards. And she was also mentioning that a lot of the places have like places where you can actually just like buy some of these apples and like their goods and ciders too.
yeah.
So it really is one-stop shop.
Go to Sky High. Sorry, that's mine. Baraboo.
Some of the places that she shouted out last year was the Door Creek Orchard over in Cottage Grove, Munchkey Apples over in Mount Horeb, Appleberry Farm in Cross Plains, and then Apple Garden in Fitchburg. So there are a lot of area apple extravaganza situations happening. So this month is jam-packed, and we are ready to go.
Absolutely. And like Lindsay said, she doesn't like to pick the apples, but she'll let them pick for her and then take the cider and the apples home.
She goes
So
into the
it's,
store.
Yes, exactly. So
Yeah.
if you don't want to do the labor, you can still get the benefits.
You can still get the fruits, literally.
Yeah.
Of someone
fruits
else's
of their
labor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I love it. October's the best. October's the best. It's been so great rounding us up. Thanks for being the best team ever. Let's do October.
Yes.
Let's do it.
I'm ready.
That's Hayley Sperling, our executive producer, and Rob Thomas, our newsletter writer, and me sharing our October guide for Madison. And by the way, if you're new here, welcome. We're so glad that you're listening. And if you like what you hear, follow us or subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you feel so moved, rate us 5 stars. Those kinds of things really help others find us. And for new and familiar listeners alike, did we miss anything in this October guide? Things that people should be knowing about in Madison this month? Let us know. Email us at madison@citycast.fm or leave us a voicemail at 608-318-3367. That's all for today here on CityCast Madison. I'm Bianca Martin. If you enjoyed the show, why not share this episode with your one friend who treats Halloween or fall apple picking like a sport? We'll be back tomorrow morning with more stories from around the city. Until then, go enjoy this gorgeous fall weather if you can.